Us being here today is none other than a miracle to us, an answer to prayer, a major blessing.
Now at 5, getting closure. The answers one family now has after losing touch with their loved one 35 years ago.
It's warm and radar is clear, but I'm tracking a Friday rain chance and a big cool down coming in your forecast.
Can the Colts break the streak? They haven't won a season opener since 2013, looking to change that narrative coming up on Sunday against the Houston Texans. We previewed this one. It's coming up for you on 13 Sports.
They're closing more roads in downtown Indianapolis for more construction. We have a list of the streets that soon you're going to want to avoid and reroute. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
Well, we begin tonight at 5 with another cold case solved by DNA and genealogy technology.
This is one in Greenwood, and it certainly does bring closure to the family who lost contact with a young man 35 years ago. Today, Rich Nye spoke with a family member who traveled here from South Carolina, all to take her cousin home tonight.
In 1993, Oddie Golf Course was a farm field where children playing behind their house discovered human bones. More than 30 years later, the latest DNA testing and genealogy tracking have identified those remains as Michael Benjamin Davis from South Carolina. His cousin came to Greenwood for closure.
We all have prayed so much for this answer. So for me, it's a miracle. It's that God still works. Things still happen. People still work through, the Spirit still works through people to keep things going. So it is amazing and an answer to prayer.
The last time Michael's family talked to him, he told them he was traveling with a carnival in the Midwest. And his remains were found a few years later, just off Interstate 65 in Greenwood.
This was the field
where the bones were found.
It's in 3 different locations. So this, back in the day, the farmer had plowed the field over 3 times in 3 different seasons.
This is the last photo family has of Michael, who they called Benny. He was 15 at the time. Investigators believe he died in 1990 or 91 in his mid-20s. His death may have been a homicide, but any evidence was lost in the years his remains laid in the field.
We may not know what Michael's last days were or how he came to his demise, but we know it's him now, and our family can rest assured we're not wondering and searching or worrying anymore. So for that, we're deeply grateful to everyone.
Othram's laboratory in Texas developed a comprehensive DNA profile that led to testing of Michael's sister to confirm identification to his remains. In Greenwood, Rich Nye, 13 News.
Now, this DNA testing and research is expensive. It can cost between $7,000 and $10,000 per sample. So the podcast company AudioChuck paid for the costs in this particular case.
So this was Johnson County's only known unidentified set of human remains.
Tonight, a Metro police officer is facing 7 charges, including child molesting, sexual misconduct with a minor, voyeurism, and obstruction of justice. The officer, Kamal Bola, made his first appearance before a judge this afternoon, just hours after the prosecutor filed the formal charges in the case against him. The newly released court documents reveal that the victim told investigators that he touched her first inappropriately when she was a teen. Investigators say that he denied the allegations at first. However, they said he allegedly admitted to them a little later. Bola is currently suspended. The police chief has recommended the IMPD Merit Board fire him. He is now the 4th IMPD officer to face these kinds of charges just this year alone. The Indiana Fraternal Order of Police issuing this statement today on the arrest, saying, quote, "Tragically, we are reminded that no profession is immune from such predatory possibilities. However, the law enforcement profession requires the trust and confidence of those we serve and work alongside."
Well, tonight we're learning the name of a man killed on the Near East Side of Indianapolis. The Marion County coroner identifies the victim as 40-year-old Craig Jacobs. Someone shot and killed him at a house near East Washington and South Rural Streets. Well, today, officers revealed they arrested the suspect during an incident involving SWAT yesterday afternoon. And a Central Indiana animal shelter is not taking in animals tonight after a dog suddenly and unexpectedly died in their care.
Indianapolis Animal Care Services now telling 13 News that dog died less than 24 hours after first showing signs of an illness. Our Karen Campbell shares how that shelter now is working to get things back on track.
We've learned IACS sent out samples for testing, and until those results come back, anyone wishing to surrender an animal here can only do so if two things apply. If animals have been injured or present a public safety risk. Right now, staff at the South Harding Street shelter is making sure the more than 200 animals currently housed there are taken care of, monitored, keeping their health and safety top of mind.
It's not unusual for shelters to pause intakes, when they have, an outbreak of a virus or something like that. Our decision to put a pause on non-emergency intakes is, it's a temporary decision, but it also allows us to sort of evaluate how we do the intake process overall.
IACS will resume their intake of animals once a negative test result comes back or after what they call an appropriate quarantine period. Coming up at 6, we'll explain how the intake process works here at the shelter and what workers inside are doing to keep all the animals safe. Karen Campbell, 13 News.
And a man is under arrest tonight accused of impaired driving when he crashed into a school bus. Witnesses told Marion police the man was driving a Dodge Charger when he blew through a traffic light and hit the side of a school bus yesterday. Investigators say the man later admitted to using heroin. The two children who were on the bus at the time were not seriously hurt.
Well, just when we think we've seen the last of all the orange barrels in Central Indiana, we learned that, yes, there are more new construction projects that are headed our way.
That's right. NDOT just announcing a plan to close several more roads downtown this month. Marion County reporter Lauren Kostick explains tonight why this is happening and what roads you want to avoid.
For 2 years, traffic looked like this downtown as NDOT worked to complete the north split. And all the traffic and trucks caused a lot of damage. That's why NDOT is investing millions of dollars to repair the city's streets and sidewalks near the interchange. A project that started last year and is continuing this fall. Right now, at least 7 roads are being closed or restricted this month, with more on the way. Areas like Alabama Street, Central Avenue, Washington, and West Street.
North Split opened up, and now we're doing some of that local road work, specifically looking at resurfacing sidewalks, the sidewalk curbs. Things of that nature where we saw more traffic hitting that local road area.
The goal is to wrap everything up by this winter with a total cost of $14 million. And we have a list of the specific closures and dates on our website at WTHR.com. In Indianapolis, Lauren Kostick, 13 News.
Thank you, Lauren. Let's talk about the weather on this Thursday as we count down to the weekend. There is a beautiful look of downtown Indianapolis right now. Really, we've had spectacular weather all week long, and just you're looking ahead at the slightest chance of a risk of storms, right?
Yes, and that risk is mainly southeast tomorrow afternoon. The front is going to move quickly. We could use a little bit of rain. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to bring us much. I guess that's good news if you've got outdoor plans. Bad news because we've seen the drought area increase, and I'm going to cover that for you here in about 10-15 minutes or so. This is radar. It is clear right now. I'm going to expand the view so you can see this little thin line of showers developing across western Michigan, crossing Lake Michigan. This is the front. Right now, it doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with. Ahead of the front, we're in the upper 80s, 88 Indianapolis. They're at 92 St. Louis. Behind the front, into the 70s, so you can see the cooler air coming. It doesn't get here this evening. Temperatures will stay in the 80s all the way through sunset. Overnight temperatures in the 60s. That's how we're going to start our Friday, and sunrise is going to start Friday at Speedway. Operation Football will dodge a rain chance tomorrow morning and then a thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon, but Operation Football tomorrow night looks dry.